Okay. I'm just waiting to see when it actually pops up. It just says starting soon. Anyway, I assume we're live. So, oh man, let me know if you guys can hear me, and hopefully it all comes out copacetic. It takes a while for it to like come out and say that it's live. It takes like a minute or two. It's weird. It's one of those funny things. But as you guys can see, yet again, we don't have any coffee. And this is my first time actually live streaming this in 1080p. So let me know if you guys have any kind of issues. If you guys are having a hard time at all with it stuttering or anything like that, and we'll back it off to 720p. So hopefully 1080p comes across good. As you guys know, for those of you new guys who are joining us on our lack of coffee and comics, or comics and coffee, comics and no coffee, comics and something always besides coffee, I usually just shoot from the hip and answer some questions you guys have. It's like the weekly Q&A for comic books in general, whereas with the weekly poll, we have like a regimented thing that we usually talk about. It's usually pretty like set up. We usually always have an idea ahead of time on what the discussion is going to be, and we try to stick to that. Otherwise, we end up just going off on tangents like we do in these videos. So, anyway, so yeah, just I mean, this is just one of those things where I just like to kind of go on with you guys and just I think it's a really cool way to interact with you guys and just talk about stuff. Like, there's no real set form for this thing. There's no real set way to for this thing to operate. It's just kind of out there, And again, this was an amalgamation of different ideas. This idea came from Sal for one, and this idea came from like Benny, and it came from the podcast, and it came from all over the place. So yeah, I don't know. Can we talk about coffee and eat comics this time? No, we're not going to eat comics. We're not going to eat comic books. Although I do have my copy of Darth Vader issue number 1 that I still haven't opened yet. So, yeah. I'm in Afghanistan, U.S. Embassy. Internet isn't that fast. 1080p is murdering me. Okay, some people are saying that it's kind of lagging a little bit. If it's, let me know if it's lagging for you guys. Just say just type lag or something like that, and that way I can get a good idea on who's having problems and who's not. If it's like a small minority of people who are having if it's a minority of people who are having problems, then I guess we'll just kind of keep it at 1080p for right now, and then you can always come back and watch it later. But if it's like a majority of people, then we'll just go back to 720p. So yeah, it's just an informal thing. It's read coffee, and eat comics. I don't know if you can really I mean, I guess you could read coffee. Like, if you're one of those people who can do those designs in cappuccino, that's pretty badass. This is actually just a protein drink. Let's see. Did the Beyonders kill Galactus? Not that we know of. In fact, I have my sources. No. As far as I know, Galactus is not being killed by the Beyonders, although he may very well have. I mean, he may very well have. Hold on a second. Let's take a look, and let's find out. Let's see. New Avengers number 30. Open this up. Scroll down. So, my God, the Captain Britain Corps are all dying, and the Beyonders are here, and Hank Pym's like, hey, here's my story, and I fell through, different dimensions and all kinds of crazy shit, and the story's just now getting interesting after 3 years of writing. That's the thing about Hickman. Hickman plays the long game. He builds that game up big time. But, no, the Beyonders are killing the Celestials, and they actually killed the Celestials pretty easily. And they killed, let's see, they killed Infinity, and they killed Eternity, and they killed Master Order and Lord Chaos. Yep, they split Eternity in two, and then the Living Tribunal appears, and they're like, you know what? Sorry about your luck. And they kill him too. So, yeah, they kill everybody. everybody's dead. So, but Galactus, as far as they haven't shown Galactus dying, so it may be that Galactus just isn't here anymore. I mean, we haven't seen him for a while. Like, as far as I remember, God, if I remember correctly, at one point along the line, Reed Richards and the Illuminati had appealed to Galactus. Maybe it was Eternity and the Living Tribunal. I don't remember, but they basically just dismissed it like it doesn't matter, and then walked away, and then they all died. um, all right, let's see. How are there going to be so many characters introduced in Batman versus Superman? I think they're going to be like cameos. Like they're just going to be quick little things where, I mean, we'll see like, I don't know, it'll be like this build up. I think that we'll see Aquaman towards the beginning, or we'll see Aquaman kind of bringing the two together, like being the intermediary in the middle of their conflict, or kind of showing up and saying, hey, look, there's more than just you two guys here. Like there's people out here who do all kinds of crazy stuff. I think that once the film begins to come to an end, it'll basically be the lead up to Aquaman bringing everybody together, and then go from there. But I think any of the other characters that we're going to see are just going to be like quick little snippets here and there. They might show up, they might intervene. The problem is that if they go any other route, they'd be doing too much. They would be it'd be like Spider-Man 3 with Batman and Superman. It would be an absolute travesty, way too much going on, and it would be total pandemonium. People wouldn't know who to focus on, and the characters that people love a lot wouldn't get a whole lot of screen time. So, I've already done a video on the one above all. Galactus was last seen. That's right, in the Ultimate Universe. That's right, they sent him away to the Ultimate Universe. Yeah, because I for some reason, I don't know why, I always keep forgetting that in the Incursions, the Galactus that we saw was a Galactus from an alternate universe that was destroying that planet Earth. Let's see. Did they already cast a Green Lantern? I don't think so. And I don't think the Green Lantern is going to appear in Batman versus Superman. He might, though. I actually haven't been keeping tabs on who all's supposed to show up in Batman and Superman. I know Aquaman's supposed to be there. But aside from him, maybe Wonder Woman's supposed to have a cameo. I'm not 100% sure. With a lot of comic book movies, I like to just wait and actually go see the movie and then just kind of be surprised. The only exception to that is Age of Ultron, just because I know that Marvel's not going to give us all the good stuff during the trailers. They're just going to show, like, here's an action sequence, here's an action sequence, here's some people talking, and it's not going to be any of the significant part of the movie that's going to be in the trailer. And so I wasn't too upset about that, but do I think they will bring back the Celestials or a different version of them? Actually, I don't think they will. I think they're going to kill off all the cosmic entities. And the reason why is because with Battleworld, you have all these realities. It's like a patchwork of realities existing on a single planet. What need would there be for cosmic entities? Now, I think that there may be cosmic entities in the realm of each of those individual realities that survived, but in terms of the Earth 616 continuity and that kind of stuff, I don't know. They may just get rid of them all entirely. I mean, that seems to be what they're doing. Like, Hickman's basically said, like, in this alternate reality, yes, the Celestials and all the cosmic entities were killed, but they've also vanished from our continuity as well, indicating that the Beyonders killed them there, and the Beyonders have been going out throughout the entire multiverse and killing everything off. Like, that's the role of the Beyonders in the lead up to Secret Wars as part of this Incursions thing. The Beyonders are the Ivory Kings, and where Rabu Malal's actions, or I guess his birth into existence, began the chain reaction that led to the end of everything. The Beyonders are trying to wipe out everything before this chain reaction can happen, and so it's kind of weird. But that seems to be the way that things are going with this whole Incursions thing. So. Now, again, that information comes from Black Swan. So, I mean, this is the first time we've seen the Ivory Kings, or I guess that we know who the Ivory Kings actually are, and that we've seen the Beyonders in Marvel Comics. Like that's one of the things a lot of people don't seem to remember, is that we've never seen what the Beyonders looked like before. This is the very first time. So this is pretty big for Hickman to really kind of pull out the big guns and say, like, you remember these super omnipotent characters that we've talked about for the last 40 years? Well, here's who they are. Let's see. Do you think the MCU Infinity War will only include story elements from the original Infinity Gauntlet run, or possibly include Infinity War and Infinity Crusade, unveiling the Magus and Goddess? Okay, here's the reason why I stopped doing Infinity War. Infinity War has nothing to do with the movie that's coming out in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It had nothing to do with it. There was no point in continuing it. Like, once I realized what they were doing And once, like, because I was able to look at the statistics on the video, I looked at the video in terms of what the retention was. People were starting the video, and then in the first minute, they were dropping off. And the reason why, like, I think it was like a 40 or 50% drop off in the first minute, because I was like, this is a follow up to the Infinity Gauntlet. And they were like, well, it's not going to be the Infinity War for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so the hell with it. And they're right. I mean, there's no point in doing Infinity War. If Marvel came out and they released like the Infinity War, like the real Infinity War with Adam Warlock splitting his consciousness in two, you know, using the Infinity Gauntlet and creating or bringing the Magus back and creating the Goddess, it would be a silly story. And the Infinity War in Marvel Comics is going to be based on the Infinity Gauntlet, so there was no reason to do the Infinity War storyline. So I just stopped it, and I stopped doing Age of Apocalypse because that movie comes out in 2 years, and there's much bigger fish to fry than Age of Apocalypse. I mean, we've got Secret Wars coming up. We've got, you know, we have the lead up to Secret Wars we had to take care of. There were more important things going on for my channel than like a 20-year-old story that wasn't really relevant anymore. So. What's your take on the whole Soul Gem thing in Age of Ultron? All right. We don't know if there's a Soul Gem in Age of Ultron, and I assume you're talking about the Staff of Loki, and we don't know for sure if the Staff of Loki is even an Infinity Gem. We're pretty sure it is. I don't think Feige's come out and said that it is an Infinity Gem. If he has, I missed it. But it would be either the Mind Gem or the Soul Gem. But regardless, it makes sense. I mean, the one thing you guys got to keep in mind is that all these movies are leading up to Infinity War. And so in one way or another, they're going to have the Infinity Gems in some capacity, or Thanos in some capacity in these movies. This is like the ultimate goal. All paths are leading to the Infinity War thing. See, to me, that's why when I sit down and watch the movies, it brings like a whole new element into the movies, because when you watch Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 and you watch the Avengers and you watch the Incredible Hulk and you watch all that and you realize this is all leading up to Infinity War, it changes the dynamic of the movies entirely, because they're not just these isolated movies, you know, that sometimes cross over. They're leading to like this much bigger picture, and it really makes things cool. So make infinity peace, not war. It's been confirmed as one of the gems. Okay. Like I said, that was something that I may have missed. Believe it or not, guys, I miss stuff occasionally. I've got a lot of stuff up here, but there's a lot of stuff that I don't know either, so. Okay. By the very nature of the multiverse, don't they, Celestials, have to still exist somewhere in the far reaches of the multiverse, or is the multiverse limited? Okay. We should probably do a video about the multiverse in Marvel Comics. We may or may not do that, but without going into, without doing like a video about it, we'll just, we'll do a Marvel Explained video within this video. Or I guess a Comics Explained video. God, old habits. Okay. The problem with the multiverse is that stuff just happens. It's weird with Marvel's contradictions. Marvel just throws stuff out there. They just say, okay, guys, look, like, yes, there's a multiverse, but we have to explain how it came into existence. And so we know the one above all exists out there. Well, the assumption was the one above all created all the realities. The one above all made the whole multiverse and everything. And then they come along in 2013, like we talked about in the Celestials, and they say, nope, the Celestials were there at the dawn of existence, and they made the multiverse. And so it's like, okay. And then, of course, we know that Galactus was born into this universe after the previous universe ended. So it's like, okay, I mean, all right, are they, I mean, is it like Galactus? I mean, I don't understand. That's the problem. That's the problem with Marvel continuity. Like, somebody posted a comment yesterday on the video, and I can't remember exactly what it was they said, but I just said, welcome to comic book, or welcome to Contradictions 101. Like, Comic Contradictions 101. That's the problem with Marvel. That's one of the reasons why reboots are such an important aspect of comic book continuity. When you look at Marvel Comics has basically been running since the 1960s. And if you really, really want to get into it with characters like Namor the Submariner, they've been running since the 1930s. Marvel's never rebooted a single character's continuity. Well, kind of, but not really. Marvel's never really rebooted their entire continuity. They've never said, okay, guys, this is year zero. This is, bam, just if you ever want to get into Marvel Comics, start here. They never really did that. With, I guess you could say the Ultimate Universe they kind of did, but it wasn't the main continuity that people knew about, that people had known about for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And so the problem is that among all that continuity, you're going to have contradictions because writers are going to sit down. Like Brian Michael Bendis is going to sit down, and Brian Michael Bendis is going to say, okay, like, or Jonathan Hickman rather, he may sit down and he may say, okay, look, we're going to write this story, and he's not going to be focusing on the continuity of Marvel Comics from 50 years ago. He's not going to be thinking about a story from 1970 something. That's not going to be his focus. His focus is going to be, okay, let's write this story here and now. Bendis is the same way. Jeff Loeb, anybody who writes for Marvel Comics, is the same way. They know the continuity, but there's going to be inherent contradictions because it'd be ridiculous to expect a writer to make a story and to know the events from 40 or 50 years before he's writing that story. I mean, it would just be really insane. It would be absolutely nuts. It would make for a perfect continuity, but that's just not the way things work. And so ultimately you just run into like all these different contradictions, and that I think is one of the reasons why Marvel's rebooting their continuity, because in truth it just kind of gets ridiculous. Like, people don't know where to start, people don't know where to go, people don't know what to do, they don't know any of this stuff. They're just kind of out there, and that's it. So I don't know, but either way, it's one of those interesting things, where people jump into the crazy circumstances and they don't know what to do with Marvel Comics. And so that's why I think this is a good idea. Now, the problem with Secret Wars, and this is the problem that a lot of people had, people thought it was going to be a reboot. People said, okay, look, there's going to be all these different universes that are going to come together. There's going to be this great big huge battle, and out of it's going to come a single continuity. But that's not what's happening. Instead, they're rewriting or continuing a bunch of old stories, and the continuity stays the same. And so if you're going to sit down and you're going to read Renew Your Vows by Spider-Man, you still got to know about One More Day, or you still got to know about, the Spider-Man annual number 20, whatever it is, 21, I think, or something like that, 22. You still got to know that whole great big huge, back continuity. And that's the problem, that they're going to be facing. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, it just depends on what it is you want to do. If you care enough about the characters, people will find a way to learn about them, which is the reason why my channel's here, to teach you guys about all that stuff. So, now that we're done with that tangent, you see what I mean when I say that, like, this is totally different from the weekly pool? Like, the tangents are just maddening on here. Marvel is due for a reboot. Yes, they are. There is a rumor Thor goes off-world in Age of Ultron. Maybe gets the Soul Gem. I don't know. I mean, I don't really go with rumors. Oh, what's going on, comic book fan? I don't really go with rumors. I'm not a huge fan of the whole rumor mill. I mean, it's cool to read about, and maybe one day we'll get into that. But right now, I like confirm things. That's one of the funny things. Like, somebody asked the question yesterday, doesn't Galactus consume planets that are homes for the Celestials or can turn into Celestials? I've heard that's true, but I couldn't find a source. And when I make my videos, if I can't find a source, I don't say it's true. I'm just kind of like, whatever. If I can't confirm it, then I don't worry about it. So, do I have a video plan for Multiversity? I'm trying to make a video for Multiversity, but Grant Morrison is making it stupid difficult. It's just Grant Morrison is making this such a pain in the ass. I may need to have someone explain it to me so I can explain it to you guys. I don't know. Let's see. Do I think Raina is going to attack Skye because she looks exactly the same and she turned into a monster? I don't know, maybe. I'm not really sure. I think Raina's confused and lost. I think Raina's going to be the first person to actually meet the Inhuman royal family. But, where's Minecraft, Rob? It'll be around at some time, but we'll get it at some point or another. What is your opinion of Transformers and Marvel's run as well as IDW run, and is there possibility for a Transformers Explained? I never really read Transformers in comics, so I don't know. Like, I was never the biggest fan of Transformers. Comic book fans, stop typing in caps, or I'm going to kick you out. Can you explain it right now, or can you make a video on what Nick Fury said to Thor in Original Sin? I could explain it right now, but we've got other stuff to talk about. Could the soul gem be on the Vision's forehead? No, you're thinking of Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock has the soul gem on his forehead, as well as the other members of the Infinity Watch, except for Pip, the troll, who put it between his toes. Although in the comic books, this is the funny thing, in the comic books, it was designed to indicate that he had stuck it up his rectum. Basically, like, stuck it up his ass, is what I mean. Did the Beyonders kill Death? We don't know. That's the problem. We don't know. Hickman, I mean, this is all real, like, this is very new. Like, this has all just been revealed to us on Wednesday. That's when we learned all this stuff. No, I'm sorry, a couple weeks ago. That's when we learned all this stuff. Like, we don't know if that'll happen. Like, we don't know if that happened. We don't know exactly how many cosmic entities the Beyonders have killed. We're assuming they've killed them all because they've killed the most prominent ones, including the Living Tribunal. But we don't know if they've actually killed Death. So the problem is that if they were to kill Death, then nothing could die. Like, that was the basis of the Cancerverse in the Thanos Imperative, was that when Captain Marvel, in that continuity, rather than Captain Marvel dying in 1984 like he did in the Earth 616 continuity, he actually died of cancer in that story. He had banded all the powers of the superheroes together and obliterated Death. And so because no one could die, it turned into a universe that was just teeming with life. There was life everywhere. Everything just lived forever and ever and ever and ever. And so it's just like, it's spilled out into the Earth 616 continuity after the events of Annihilation. Let's see. Where is Thanos right now? Is he still in his stone form? No, he was released from that form during during the Incursions. He was released in that form by Loki. And then he became part of then he became part of the Cabal for Name of the Submariner. Rob, quit dodging the question on what Fury said to Thor. Well, I'm definitely not going to answer that question now, if that's how you're going to say it. Is the multiverse infinite? Because if it is, the Celestials can't ever truly be purged. See, that's the beauty of the Incursions. That is the beauty of the Incursions. A lot of people don't think about this. The beauty of the whole Incursion situation is, rather than sitting down and saying, okay, Crisis on Infinite Earths, and saying the Anti-Monitor is wiping out all these other universes, and we've got to find a way, and we have, rather than saying, like, well, what about all these other universes? Like, how did he manage to kill those and things like that? Marvel came along and fixed that problem. They said, Hickman, give us a way to start wiping out the alternate universes. Incursions. We don't even have to see them happen. All we know is that Earths are bumping into each other. And so, in between all the stories that we're doing, other Earths are colliding into each other. In the middle of Spider-Verse, you have Spider-Verse going on, and the Earths are colliding into each other. One of the Spider characters can't even go back to his home planet because it's been obliterated because of the Incursions. You have all these alternate realities that we're never going to see, superhero variations of characters that we know that we're never going to see, who have just been totally wiped out because their planet crashed into another one, and that's it. That's the beauty of the Incursions. Once this is over, Marvel can just sit down and say, okay, guys, here are the realities. Anything else that's not here was destroyed during the conversion, or during the Incursions. Done and done. And that's it. That's the beauty of it. So the universes as a whole are obliterated, including all the cosmic entities in that universe. And so that's how they've been able to wipe out all these different Celestials. I mean, the Beyonders have just been going about killing Celestials. The Incursions have taken care of everything else. And so that's the beauty of this whole thing. So, let's see. Thor versus Superman. I don't know. I'd give it to Superman almost any day of the week. Who's going to go see the Marvel Marathon? I wanted to see the Marvel Marathon, but they're not having it here in Lexington. Comic book fan, why are you? Okay, you know what? I'm going to start. Let's see. I wanted to see the Marvel Marathon, but they're not having it in Lexington. And that's what upsets me. Like, I'd have to travel freaking hours in order to actually be able to see it. Like, that's the problem. So, I don't know. They're only having it in like 4 cities, I think. So, it kind of sucks. Let's see. There isn't a way to reduce infinity to a number. That is a definition of infinity. Hey man, I don't make the rules, dude. This is comic book logic we're going by. This is Marvel logic. I don't I don't know what to tell you. Do I think Cable will be in X-Men Apocalypse? Most likely, but the Cable they're going to be using is going to be oh God, the Cable they're going to be using is going to be the Ultimate Cable, I think. Which I'll give you guys one guess who the Ultimate Cable is. The Ultimate Universe version of Cable. I'll give you one guess who it is. What do you think is a surprise in the Comic-Con this year? I have no earthly clue. I don't even know where to begin. If Marvel does a reboot, will most of the heroes and villains change, or will any of the origins change? See, they're not doing a continuity, or they're not doing a character reboot. They're doing a continuity reboot. They're consolidating. I guess consolidation is the best way to describe it. They're taking these infinite or this huge number of realities and they're condensing them down into a handful of realities based on stories that we already know. That's the problem with this whole thing is we're going back to what we know. We're not going back to what we don't know. And so we're not going to what we don't know. And so it's just kind of like, whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. Um, Rob, do you think the Ivory Kings have a hand in creating Battleworld since the map makers created patches of dead universes and put them together? I don't know. That's actually a pretty solid idea now that you mention it. That's entirely possible. I mean, it'd be a great way to tie into the original Beyonder who created Battleworld. I don't know. I mean, we may find out there's more to these Beyonders than has been revealed to us. It could be that the Beyonders view all these different realities as the potential to create more Rabumalals, and so as a result, they've been annihilating them entirely. We don't know what the motivations of the Ivory Kings are beyond what's basically been told to us by Hank Pym or what we've seen them do. And so we're not really sure what Black Swan has said, and we can't really verify that Black Swan's even telling the truth in the first place because there's no Charles Xavier here, and so there's no one to read her mind. Okay. All right. We'll make a video definitely explaining that Marvel Now versus Secret Wars. Marvel Now was a way for Marvel to kind of shake things up a little bit. DC had the New 52. All right. DC said, okay, guys, this is year zero. Like, Secret Origins Superman, Secret Origins Wonder Woman, Action Comics #1, Wonder Woman #1, Batman 0 year, so on and so forth. These are the zeros of all these characters. If you ever want to get into the stories of these characters, read these. The only exception to that was with Batman, and they said read The Killing Joke. But, and I guess you could reference Death in the Family. But even then, that was just kind of like, whatever. There were a handful, maybe a couple stories that you had Path of Beyonder. There were a couple stories that you could read from the Batman continuity, but for the most part, you could just start with 0 year and just, I guess, really just go from there. And so as a result, fans loved that idea. I mean, new fans loved it. New fans were like, oh God, like I can jump into DC Comics right now. With Marvel Comics, you're not doing that. Marvel Now was basically them coming along and saying, okay, guys, we're going to shake things up a little bit. Like Marvel Now, we've got Uncanny Avengers. Marvel Now, we've got all new Captain America. Steve Rogers is still around. He's just old. We've got a different person stepping into the role of Steve Rogers. Marvel Now, we had all new Captain Marvel. Okay, Carol Danvers stops being Miss Marvel and accepts the mantle of Captain Marvel. That's how it worked. It wasn't a reboot of any kind for the characters. It was just kind of shaking the characters up and putting them in different roles or moving the characters into the next step of what people wanted to see. That's, and Marvel Now was cool because you got all new. I mean, you got #1, so, all new X-Men #1. And it was, but you still had to know the continuity of the X-Men. You still had to read stories of the X-Men going into all new X-Men because you would be absolutely confused. You wouldn't know what the hell's going on. Why is Beast bringing the X-Men from an alternate reality into this reality? Like, why is he trying to get Scott Summers to come back to reason again? I mean, you had to know that stuff, and that's why Marvel Now was a great way to bring people in. But the problem is they ran into the exact same situation you're running into, where they're saying, okay, there's Marvel Now, but there's also Secret Wars, so which one should I be reading here? Like, which one should I get into? Now, what we don't know is if the changes that Marvel made with Marvel Now are going to roll over into Secret Wars. We don't know if that's going to be the case. Is Carol Danvers going to stay Captain Marvel, or is something else going to happen? Are the all-new X-Men going to come from the Ultimate Universe into this universe and into the part of the Battle World? We don't know that. We have no idea about that kind of stuff. So, what do you think about Spider-Man coming to the Marvel Universe? I think it's awesome. I mean, I'm excited for it. I don't know about you guys. How do I feel about Red Hood? Okay, I'm going to spoil this. We're going to do a video about Red Hood probably tomorrow, so you'll find out what I think about Red Hood tomorrow. Let's see. Let's scroll back down again. Do you think... Let's see. Oh, that's a Transformers question. I never really read Transformers, so I don't know. I really can't answer any questions about Transformers. Is Namor part of the MCU or Fox? He is a mutant, so I believe he's part of Fox. Can I do a video about the Skrull invasion? Maybe. Let's see. Let's be honest. Marvel is for legacy readers, and DC is directed for new and returning comic readers. Kind of, but not really. I mean, that's not really true at all. I mean, Marvel's there for legacy readers to a degree, but the great thing about a new volume is that they always cover what happened in the previous one. So you could sit down and read all new Spider-Man, and you'll be fine. I mean, you've got, Miles Morales as Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe. I mean, you can still start off in Marvel Comics at any point in time, and you can read Wikipedia for an hour and be caught up on the characters going into the current run of the comics. That's a great thing about having a continuity that's lasted so long, is you don't have to worry about reboots. But again, the downside is there's nowhere new for you to start. So it's not really a comparison thing. It's not really like Marvel versus DC so much as it depends on which one I really identify with the most. Why would they kill off the Fantastic Four? Because they don't have the rights to the Fantastic Four. Oh, Universal has the rights to Namor. Okay. I really wasn't sure, to be honest. Do you think it would be cool if Amalgam Universe would be in Convergence or in Secret Wars? I mean, I guess it'd be kind of cool, but I don't really know what you'd do with it. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I mean, it'd be a great way, like a great story later on down the road, like Secret Wars versus Convergence, and to like kind of allow people to segue between the two, but I don't know. That's a tough question. If the Maximoff twins get praise in Age of Ultron, do you think Fox will include Scarlet Witch in X-Men Apocalypse? I don't know. I don't think so. I doubt it. I mean, they may, but if they were going to do anything with the Scarlet Witch, they would have done that during, they would have done more with her character during Days of Future Past. Let's see. Thanks for all you do, Rob. Thanks. Listening from Konya, Turkey. Someone else asked, but I would also be curious to hear your ideas about the possible Soul Gem in Avengers Age of Ultron Trailer 3. I don't know. I mean, I think that this Soul Gem is going to be kind of a background thing, and I think ultimately by the end of the film it's going to end up in the hands of Thanos. I think it's going to be the first time we actually see Thanos in possession of an Infinity Gem. That doesn't mean he doesn't have the others, but it's going to be the first time we actually see him in possession of it. So, I don't know. Thanos versus Onslaught. Who wins, Rob? Onslaught, hands down. What's your take on the new Thor Ragnarok movie? It's going to be their way to write Thor out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think, to kill off his character so Chris Hemsworth can go off and do other projects. I don't know, though. I mean, I don't know. Let's think about this for a second as I move my microphone back. Let's think about this for a second. I mean, what was Ragnarok in the comics? Ragnarok in the comics was a cycle of life and death. Ragnarok was the event of all the Asgardians dying, being killed off in some massive apocalyptic event, and then coming back to life again, and the cycle continuing. I think it'd be a great way for them to kill off Thor in the comics, either replace him with someone new and saying, well, this is just a cycle of Ragnarok. A new Thor always appears in this version of Ragnarok in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Or it'd be a way for Chris Hemsworth, Thor, to be gone during some event, some point in time for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, for Chris Hemsworth to go off and do his own stories, and then to eventually come back if he wants to. I don't know. It really just depends. What do I think about the character of Angela moving from the Spawn universe to the Marvel 616 universe? Honestly, it didn't really matter to me that much. I didn't really care that much about Angela as a character. With Convergence, is the New 52 ending and we going back to Earth 1 continuity? No. The New 52 continuity is continuing on after Convergence. That's the new continuity in DC Comics. So if you guys want to read, if you guys are going to get into any continuity, I guess during and after Convergence, the New 52 continuity is going to be the main one. That's the main thread. All Convergence is going to do is give us a bunch of smaller stories that give us a throwback to the old continuity, but they're going to keep the New 52 as the main continuity going forward. I mean, they may change their minds, though. I imagine it might just depend on the reception of a lot of the older stories. So, what single Marvel character can defeat Onslaught besides the cosmic entities? I mean, a fully powered Franklin Richards, like an adult Franklin Richards could wipe him out. I don't know. That's the problem with Onslaught. He was a stupidly powerful character in the 1990s. It was nuts how powerful he is. He punched the Juggernaut and knocked him halfway across the world. So, yeah. Like halfway, not halfway across the country, halfway across the globe, the entire planet Earth. That's how powerful he was. It's nuts. Who's your favorite Robin? Probably Dick Grayson. But admittedly, I haven't gotten as into Damian Wayne as I need to, which, by the way, for those of you guys who are wondering, yes, we're going to explain all the Robins. The next one we're going to do is Jason Todd, and we're going to do Jason Todd as Robin and as the Red Hood. After that, we're just going to move down the line. So Tim Drake, and then so on and so forth until we eventually get to Damian Wayne. So, but again, all this is going towards the lead up to Convergence, and also just kind of do these characters because they're characters everybody loves. So, Carnage for a Spider-Man solo film in Marvel. If they did, it would have to be rated R, and it would have to be based on more or less Maximum Carnage interjecting different characters aside from the Avengers and the X-Men and so on. Bruce Lee takes Onslaught, no sweat. Well, yeah. I mean, hell, it's Bruce Lee, man. Shit. I once saw a video, and this was really funny. I once saw a video of Bruce Lee punching. And Bruce Lee was standing in position, and all he did, he just like moved his shoulder forward like that, and did it with so much force that it knocked the guy off his feet. Imagine an inch away from a target, and you knock the person off their feet. Like imagine the strength that it requires to achieve something like that. That was a cool thing about Bruce Lee. He could actually like flex his muscles and double his body mass, or his body size. It was stupid how in control of himself that guy was. That requires an insane amount of discipline. Let's see. Legion could beat Onslaught with some assistance. Yeah, but what you would find if Legion were to face Onslaught, you'd find Legion jumping through so many of his personalities that it would be nuts. Dude, where is Sentry? I don't remember where Robert Reynolds is. I actually haven't followed the Sentry for a while. No, he's dead. That's right. He was killed. He was resurrected for a time by the Apocalypse Twins to serve as one of the one of the Horsemen of Death. They had like 4 Horsemen of Death, I think, or something like that. And then he was killed off again. Like that was a smart move by Marvel too, because they just ever since Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee finished the Marvel Knights run on the Sentry, and Quesada was like, let's just roll him over into the main Earth 616 continuity. They didn't know what to do with this character. They had no clue what to do with the Sentry. The only time the Sentry even mattered, there were only two points in time when the Sentry mattered. The first point in time was when the Sentry, I guess when he first appeared in the 2000 run of Marvel Knights. I guess it'd be 3, but that was the first time he mattered. The second time was when he was rolled over into the continuity, and the combined efforts of the Avengers, the X-Men, and the Inhumans could not stop the Void, his alternate personality. And then the third time that he mattered was during World War Hulk, when he fought Hulk to a standstill. Aside from that, he didn't matter at all. Like, he was just a pointless character. And every time they would just show up and they would just say, "Oh my God, the Void's coming," and it was like, "Oh, whatever. Who cares? No one cares." Black Bolt explained. We covered Black Bolt during our video about the Inhumans. Black Panther versus Batman, that would be a good matchup because they're both insanely smart. Like, I think Marvel officially came out with the ratings on the top 5 most intelligent people in the Marvel comics, and Black Panther was right under Dr. Doom and Reed Richards. So he was like 3rd. Batman versus Original Sin, Nick Fury. Man, you guys are picking some tough ones. You guys pick some tough ones. Okay, give me a list. Like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this comic book battles. All right, go through here and give me a list of who you guys want to see. Like you guys got to pick. Say, I want this character. Like, I want these guys fighting each other. Like, tell me your dream matchup between any 2 characters, in Marvel and DC comics, but it has to be Marvel versus DC. All right, it can't be like DC versus DC or Marvel versus Marvel because that takes away the fun of it. Because chances are it's already been done. So I'm anxious to see what you guys come up with. We will probably do Gambit at some point. I like Spider-Girl's costume. I think Spider-Girl's costume is a well-designed costume. It doesn't say, yeah, no, that wasn't Bruce Lee playing with nunchucks. Like, I've seen that video. That wasn't Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee versus the Beyonders. You guys are distracting me from the answer. I like Supergirl's costume. I like Supergirl in terms of how she looks, in terms of the fact that it gives her this degree of like authority, but it doesn't make her look like, like a go-go girl. It doesn't make her look like a woman of the night. It makes her look respectable, which I think is kind of a cool thing. Wolverine versus Lobo. Oh, Lobo, hands down. He would absolutely pummel Wolverine. Because you got to think about it. If they did a story of Wolverine versus Lobo, oh my God, like all these things are coming in. Oh man, you guys are loading up those ideas. Okay, if Marvel and DC sat down and they said, okay guys, we need to make a story about Wolverine versus Lobo, they're going to give us the best set of powers that Lobo's ever had in the history of his continuity. That means he's going to be at maximum strength, all his capabilities are going to be there. You're going to have Wolverine, who's going to be at the pinnacle of his writing style, so late 90s Wolverine. All right, Lobo hands down. Like Lobo would pummel him, but oh god, but Wolverine's got adamantium, son of a bitch. And he's got a healing factor. Damn, I don't know. I might actually... See, it depends. Would adamantium be able to puncture the skin of Lobo? If the adamantium could damage Lobo, then yeah, Wolverine will take it. He'll just cut his head off. If adamantium can't damage Lobo, then it's a standstill, because Wolverine would just recover every single time he was beat up. He would, like, every punch, he would almost immediately recover from it due to because his healing factor was stupid fast in the 90s. Like, it was crazy how fast he could recover. It wasn't like these great big, huge, long, drawn-out things in the 2000s. No, it was like he got stabbed and then almost immediately he was recovered from it. Like, it was silly how intense it was. That's a good one. That's actually a pretty good one. So here's a consensus on Wolverine versus Lobo. If Lobo can be pierced by Wolverine's adamantium, then Wolverine takes it. If Wolverine cannot pierce the body of Lobo, then it becomes a standstill. So, Young Avengers versus the Runaways. I think the most important question is, does anybody care about that matchup? No, I'm just messing around. I don't know, man. Honestly, I haven't read either one of those in years. Batman versus Black Panther. Batman versus Black Panther. See, they're both extremely wealthy. They're both extremely intelligent, and they're both extremely capable. I would say Black Panther, because Black Panther draws his powers from the Panther God. And at any point in time, Marvel could change the power set. Marvel could say, okay, if he derives his powers from a divine influence, then now he suddenly has the power of the power of that one girl, Xiao Yu from the Inhumans, to manipulate air pressure, to manipulate, I don't know. It'd be weird. God, there's so many questions coming in. All right, Hawkeye versus Green Arrow. Oh my God. You guys are picking the hardest ones because you guys are picking people who are similar. Okay, stop picking people who are similar. Don't pick the people who are don't, like Batman versus. Pick the people who are not similar. Like, I want to see like a difficult one. Okay, like Superman, Silver Age Superman, which was when Superman was at his pinnacle of abilities. He could do almost anything. He could pull planets and stuff like that. Silver Age Superman versus Thanos with the power gem. See, that's a good combination. And that's a tough one. The power gem gives Thanos infinite power. Like, it gives him an unlimited amount of physical power. But Silver Age Superman was nearly godlike in terms of what he could do. Deadpool versus Superman. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Pat Fiasco. That's what I'm talking about. Superman versus Deadpool. Who wins in that fight? Okay. So let's take the characters at the peak of their abilities, at the pinnacle of their existence. All right, God, there's so many coming in right now. You guys are nuts. You guys are crazy with all your suggestions. Like that's what I love about you guys. You guys crack me up. All right, Superman versus Deadpool. So Silver Age Superman. Silver Age Superman could do pretty much everything. Like we said, when we were talking about him against Thanos with the power gem. Deadpool can heal from anything. But here's the kicker. Squirrel Girl killed Deadpool, or defeated Deadpool. And if you remember our discussion about Squirrel Girl, the way she did it was creating such small incisions in his body, and so many, that his body didn't recognize the incisions. His healing factor didn't detect them. And so as a result, he didn't heal. And so he ended up just bleeding out until he was captured. I got the burps. I think Superman would take it. Because I think Superman would be able to to basically create the same effect. But, see, this is the problem. Deadpool can't die. We know Deadpool can't die because of Joe Kelly's run of Deadpool, I think. Maybe it wasn't Joe Kelly's run, but it was the story of Deadpool where he had basically been cursed with immortality by Thanos. And so as a result, he can never die. God, I don't know. It'd be one of the funniest damn fights ever. Okay, I demand this. I am officially going on record and saying this. As part of any future crossover event, Marvel and DC need to at some point come together and write a story of Superman versus Deadpool. I want to see that so bad. I want to see how that plays out. In my personal opinion, when it's all said and done, it comes out to be a draw. I don't think Superman can kill Deadpool, but I don't think Deadpool can kill Superman because Deadpool isn't in possession of any weapons that could physically harm Superman. Like, there's no way his swords would be able to harm Superman. I mean, that's just not going to happen. I mean, unless adamantium can hurt Superman, and we don't know, so... Oh, God. He just throws him into the sun. There you go. Done and done. Oh, man. God, you guys are coming out with so many things. Howard the Duck versus Rocket Raccoon. Like, I can see you guys at home right now. Like, you guys are home right now giggling to yourselves, just typing in the craziest combination you could think of. I guarantee that's what you guys are doing. Superman could drop Deadpool on the moon, but see, like Deadpool couldn't die. Will you continue the MCU's timeline anytime soon? Yes. The reason why I had sort of put the timeline on hold for a little while is because I was waiting for Agent Carter to end. Because a lot of the stuff took place in the 1930s. And even then, going forward, especially when we get into Age of Ultron, we don't know how far back that movie is going to go. That movie could go way back to the era of Captain America. I mean, they're going to have Baron von Strucker. And so they could go all the way back to World War II. And they may change some things. And so, I don't want to release that and say, okay, guys, like, here's the deal, with this particular part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and have to come back and make an update to it, because it would sort of throw off a lot of different viewers. They'd be a little confused and stuff. So that's one of the reasons why we put it on hold for a little while. Oh my God. Superman Prime 1 million. Yes, but as far as I understand, he's not part of the Earth, like Earth 1, I guess, before pre-New 52, he wasn't part of, like, the Earth 1 continuity. He was part of the DC 1 million continuity. I think. Would throw the sun into Deadpool. He'd obliterate the planet Earth in the process, but whatever. I'm the most legit human on Earth. I appreciate it, guys. Should Lobo appear big on the big screen? Should appear on the big screen. How would you like him to appear? God, there's so many things coming in. Okay, guys, you guys can stop with your list of characters now. Like let's get back into the other questions, because now you guys are just spamming the hell out of the chat. Let's see. Let's go back up. Okay. How would you like him brought in? I definitely think Lobo needs to appear in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think that the downside to Lobo appearing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is they wouldn't bring him in effectively. Lobo was designed by nature to be a parody of Wolverine. That was the purpose behind his creation. I think ultimately, if they did that it would take away from the effect. It would take away from how funny Lobo could be, and people would just say he's just a spin-off of Wolverine, and then just leave it at that. I think that if they made a Lobo film properly or included a Lobo in a film, it needs to be rated R just because of the violent nature of Lobo. Especially if they go into the origins of his character and they talk about how he killed off everybody in his own society. I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting. You know. Let's see. Justice League Dark explained. We'll get to that stuff. If it's part of the New 52 continuity, we will explain it. Let's see. Isn't Lobo a DC hero? Yes. Did I say Marvel? I didn't mean to say DC. I didn't mean to say Marvel. Sorry, guys. Lobo's DC. Lobo's DC. I know Lobo is DC, guys. I misspoke. Like people were going through and they were like, "Hey, Rob, you made the awesome. Like this was an awesome video about Dick Grayson, but you kind of said Marvel at one point in time." And I'm like, "Yep, I did." Okay. Let's see. Does the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series last until the Inhumans 2018? The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series is going to last as long as they can make it last. I don't think they have a set point where they say, okay, guys, like, this just needs to appear in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it just needs to bring in the Inhumans. Like, once the Inhumans are brought in, then we just don't need to worry about it anymore. I don't think that's what they're doing. I think they're just like, let's make it last as long as we can. Let's see. My Hulk poster is crooked. Yeah, it is a little bit crooked. Somebody's insanely OCD. Do I like Marvel or DC? I mean, I've gained a new respect for DC since I started reading it, which was funny because I had a video where I was like, oh, Marvel's definitely better than DC. Like, DC sucks, you know. But like once I actually sat down and started reading more into DC, because I remember the old DC where every character was overpowered and they were all just they were you just couldn't identify with them, you know, and you just didn't care about their characters and stuff. The new characters are cool. Like I like the new run of DC. I like them making it more personal. I like one of the things I like about DC, and it was actually Benny who really turned me on to this, was that the great thing about DC Comics is that there's like these massive stories that revolve around the characters. Like since Batman started with New 52, like Scott Snyder's just been doing like a series of amazing Batman stories. Court of Owls, Night of Owls, I guess the retcon with Batman Zero here, which came after Batman issue #1. Let's see, what was it? Death of the Family, Batman Eternal, Batman Endgame, Damian Wayne, like all these amazing stories in the Batman continuity. Like, I have a new respect for DC Comics now. What do I think about the Supergirl costume? We've already talked about that. I think it's a respectable costume. I like the way it looks. Are you guys the watchers? If you want to be. Just don't watch me all the time. Which Marvel Max story should I read? Okay, Marvel Max, you should read Alias, you should read Punisher, and you should read Deadpool. And that's it. That's all you need to worry about with Marvel Max. Emma Frost versus You Naked. I mean, that's kind of weird. I mean, she's a comic book character. It's kind of creepy. Let's see. How did She-Hulk become She-Hulk? She-Hulk became She-Hulk because she was originally an attorney. She was maintaining a case against a mobster. Oh, God. I'm so rusty on this. She was maintaining a case against a mobster. The mobster tried to have her killed while she was with Bruce Banner. She was shot, and Bruce Banner gave her a blood transfusion of his own blood, which saved her life, but it caused her to turn into the She-Hulk. Now, originally, she had the same kind of powers as the Incredible Hulk, and that, or I guess the same way she transformed in the sense that it was tied into her emotions. But the problem is that a lot of feminists got really angry about this because what Marvel was doing is they were saying, well, because she's emotionally unstable, she turns into the She-Hulk randomly. And a lot of feminists took this to believe, or took this to mean, that Marvel was saying that women are emotionally unstable, that women just can't be emotionally stable like men. And so Marvel eventually changed it and said that she can become the She-Hulk at will, but then they reduced her power set. And so she can become the She-Hulk when she wants to, but she doesn't have infinite strength. She has like strength to a degree. Like she gets strong to a point and then she stops. She can go into like this berserker rage, which is what we saw in Avengers Disassembled, where she tore the Vision in half and then just started like ripping up everything in front of Avengers Mansion. Now that's my memory, so I may be wrong in a couple things, but I'm pretty sure that's how She-Hulk becomes She-Hulk. Let's see. Punisher in the MCU, yes, and it needs to be Thomas Jane. That's the only person who needs to play the Punisher right now, or ever. Like that's it. In Age of Ultron, will Captain America lift Thor's hammer? Yes. I can almost guarantee that's going to happen because people want to see it. They've hinted to that in there. I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see this epic thing. I think we're going to see this battle, and Captain America is going to be the last man standing. And I think Captain America is going to be able to pick up Thor's hammer and like swing it and hit Ultron with it. Now, whether anything actually happens to Ultron, I don't know. But I think that Captain America is going to. I mean, wouldn't that be like the icing on the cake? I mean, like imagine this. Okay, let's imagine this situation. Let's be fans. Let's be fans for a second. Let's imagine that in that scene with the trailer, like the scene we saw in the trailer, where like, what was it? Thor was like, "Is that all you've got?" And then like Ultron starts sending all these Ultron robots after the Avengers, and they're all fighting back to back, you know, and they're all fighting their hardest, you know, and like Black Widow and Hawkeye are the first ones to go down because they have no superpowers. And then after them, you have Iron Man, who's like, bam, you know, he gets slammed, you know. And then you've got Thor and you've got Captain America, the last two left. As improbable as it may seem, like Captain America just won't give up. Like every time they knock him down, like he just, you know, just gets back up again, you know. And so they're pummeling on Thor. Thor takes a few out, and then like Thor is attacked by, you know, like the Vision. Okay, let's say the Vision pops up, and the Vision just starts, you know, just hammering on Thor. Takes Thor out first because for him, he's like, okay, if we get rid of Thor first, Captain America's easy pickings. All right, and it's simple from there. And so Thor's knocked out, and so then he goes after like Captain America, and Captain America, I mean, he's got a shield, like he's trying to block the shots, but Vision's just too fast, you know, and just taking him out, you know, just bam, 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 you know, just knocking his ass out, you know. And then eventually, like Captain America it looks like he gets knocked out, and then like as the Vision begins to walk away, you know, or I guess as he gets ready to deal the killing blow, like Captain America just like slowly staggers to his feet one last time. And then he reaches down for the first thing he can grab, and it's Thor's hammer. And he picks it up and just like, bam, cracks the Vision with it. Just, just snaps the Vision in half, you know, and destroys him that way. Would that not be fucking awesome? Would that not be amazing? Like that would be... Oh, and the Hulk. Okay, you know what? The Hulk will be out doing something. The Hulk will be out taking a shit in a field somewhere. Who cares about what the Hulk's doing? But that would be amazing. Who would win in a fight by the sea if there were no living fish within a 100-mile radius? Thor versus Aquaman, or Thor, but Thor's at the sea and Aquaman is in him on land. I don't understand that entirely. Thor is dead because of Ragnarok. I don't know. Do I think there will ever be a Ghost Rider movie, and who will they cast? No, I think that Nicolas Cage did the Ghost Rider series irreparable harm. I don't think they can ever bring the Ghost Rider back and make him a character people care about. Like, people are forever going to see Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider, and it's going to be trash forever. Like, it's never going to come back. Let's see. Captain America with Mjolnir for the win. He be worthy. Yeah. Even if we don't see it in Age of Ultron, we will at some point along the line. Yes, we'll do all the Lantern Corps. We will at some point along the line see Captain America wielding Thor's hammer. I can guarantee we will see that. Grab your channel is so informational. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome. I appreciate the support. You guys are really supportive. Like, a lot of you guys are really supportive. Does it hurt your soul knowing that we had a JLA Triple X parody before we had the actuals? I'm not answering that. Rob picks up Thor's hammer. Let's see. Yeah, Nicolas Cage ruined Ghost Rider. Yes, he did. Rob, I'm writing an original story, but what would you rather read? A graphic novel series or a comic book series? Probably a comic book series, but I don't know, maybe a graphic novel. It really doesn't matter to me that much, to be honest. Graphic novels are better because you don't have to have a whole bunch of little comic books, but in the end, it really just kind of depends on the person. For me, it doesn't really matter that much. Didn't they say they were going to kill a character in Age of Ultron? Maybe. I don't remember them saying that. Maybe they didn't. I don't remember. Secret Invasion explained. We will at some point, maybe. Your channel is the best. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I am vaping 23 Skidoo by, what is this? Ragtime Vapor. It's a vanilla custard flavor. Let's see. What was the point of Spider-Verse? There wasn't one. Spider-Verse, like, nothing happened. It was boring. I think it was a way to just, like, reconcile the Spider characters and decide which ones they wanted to bring into Secret Wars and which ones they didn't. I didn't like Spider-Verse that much. Dragon Ball Z, your thoughts? I mean, what is there to think? It's like one of the best TV shows in the history of humanity. It was part of the 90s. Yeah. Red Robin explained. Yes, we will get to all that. We will do all the Robins, guys. Don't worry. Like, I know all you Robin fans out there. We will do all the Robins. Black Widow will die. I mean, Scarlett Johansson's going off to be a mom now. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she was like, I don't want to do it anymore. So, Captain Britain movie for the win. I mean, I don't know why they would do a Captain Britain movie. Do other YouTube channels copy you, and does it infuriate you? There have been some who have. I mean, there have been channels that have copied Benny, channels that have copied Sal, channels that have copied me. I don't think so. I mean, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, but more importantly than that, we're growing a community. Like, see, here's a cool thing, guys. You know, I don't mean to sound arrogant at all, but I think that what me, Benny, and Sal have done with the weekly poll has really helped to pull the community together. Now, there have been amazing channels out there for quite some time, like Mr. Sunday Movies. Let me tell you guys something. Mr. Sunday Movies is one of the most entertaining channels I've ever seen in my life, and I was actually surprised. I was really shocked that he didn't appear under Watch Mojo's list. I was like, that's kind of dumb. Like, definitely he should have been top 5. I mean, there's variant comics. There's so many great comic book channels out there right now. And I think that we've really been able to help bring together a lot of these comic book channels and sort of form this community. And I think with the formation and the coming together of a lot of these big powerhouse channels, you know, I mean, I don't really think I'm like a big powerhouse channel. I mean, I think that channels who are huge, like big, like variant comics and stuff like that, I think that it's helped people to realize that they can do what we do. They can make the kind of videos we make, and they can express their love of comic books on YouTube and have a community to express that towards. That's one of the reasons why we launched the weekly poll. The great thing about the weekly poll is that with the website, it's this big place for people to come together and to talk about comic books. Like we have the forum. I mean, if you guys haven't been there yet, like, go check out the weekly poll, the weekly board, and you know, we've got this huge forum, you know, for people to talk about comic books. I mean, there's people are getting on there all the time. Like, one of the most common things is like Marvel versus DC. I don't know why, but we've got a Marvel section, we've got a DC section, we've got a section for independent comics, we've got a section for me, Benny, and Sal, and Super Effective. We've got sections for just general discussion and introducing yourself. I mean, we've got a section for updates. We've even got a section for self-promotion. For those of you guys who are trying to get your channel out there and get your channel known, we've got a section of the forum just for you guys. So you guys can go in there and be like, hey, here's who I am. Like, here's my YouTube channel. Make sure you guys check me out. You know, I mean, that's one of the things that we have down there. So we've really tried to make this forum a place where people can be comic book fans and go on about tangents on comic book fans. And they don't really have to feel like, well, if I'm going to talk about comic books, I have to talk about the popular stuff. If you want to talk about some obscure character from 1960-something in Marvel Comics, a character that appeared in one issue, talk about it. That's what the forum's there for. So that's why we have that whole thing. But let's see. Comics is the best. How strong is Adam Warlock? Adam Warlock, it depends on the writing. There have been stories where Adam Warlock was the only person who was able to survive alongside Thanos when Thanos wiped out all of existence. Like the heart of the universe. Thanos did that. He wiped out all of existence, and Adam Warlock showed up and was like, dude, set it back. You know there's no point in doing this. And Thanos was like, yeah, that's true. And then he set it all back to normal. I mean, it depends on the writers, you know. Rob, in your opinion, what are the most interesting lineups for the Avengers and the Justice League? What do you mean, in terms of like team formations? Or I'm not sure how you mean. What's going to make more money, Avengers or Star Wars? Star Wars is more of a pop culture icon than Avengers is. But after Avengers 1, people want to see the hype. People want to know what's going to happen in this one. So, let's see. In the new Avengers movie trailer, was the shot of Quicksilver uppercutting Captain America cool or what? Yes, it was. Pre-52 is better. See, I hear that from a lot of long-term comic book fans say that they love the New 52 better. But here's the thing you guys got to consider too. You guys grew up with pre-New 52. Like, you guys grew up with that line of comics. And so it's natural you guys would have an affinity for that line of comics. For those of you who are new to comic books, the New 52 is where you're going to be at. Like, that's going to be your thing. Here's a really good example. Back in the day, little secrets here. Back in the day, I used to have a Call of Duty YouTube channel, and it never really grew. It had 200 subscribers at most, I think, and nothing really ever came of it. But the problem was I started with like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And to me, there would never be a better game than that game. I played Black Ops 1, it wasn't as good. Black Ops 2, it wasn't as good. Call of Duty Ghosts, Advanced Warfare, wasn't as good. I even went back and played the old games. COD 4, wasn't as good. People who started in Black Ops 1 say the same thing, but they say it about Black Ops 1, so on and so forth. People who got into that particular game, got into that particular mindset, love that idea. They stayed with that mindset and they adapted it. And that's how comic books are. People who read 1990s Marvel Comics said, no. 1990s Marvel Comics is where it's at. 90s X-Men. It'll never get better than that. And anything that moves away from that, they have a problem with. They don't like. And ultimately, that's just part of change. Things change. Things grow. Things expand and become different, and that's just kind of, people have to learn to adapt. So what's your pitch for a Marvel What If TV series? Make a TV series just based off well-known Marvel stories. What if Thor was Jane Foster? I mean, that would be a great one to start with. Yeah, the art of the New 52 is really good. All right, how long have we been doing this? We've been going for, oh wow, we've been going for about an hour or so. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Yeah, we've been going for about an hour. I'm going to go ahead and bring this to an end. I need to finish working on a video, or actually start working on a video about Red Hood, about Jason Todd. So I'm going to try to have that video up tomorrow. No promises. I've been talking all this time, so I'm going to need to let my voice recover before I actually record anything. But yeah, so anyway, it was awesome hanging out with you guys. I always love hanging out with you guys. And again, this is going to be a Sunday thing. Hopefully, I want to start bringing on like Benny and Sal and some of those other guys on here. I think I'll try to, like, I hit Sal up before and he didn't answer. So I was like, well, I guess he's tied up or something like that. But, hopefully, we can get people in and, get some of the guys from the Weekly Pool in and have some fun with this. So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and bounce off here. With that being said, we're going to bring this video to an end, this live stream to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, let me know, and I will catch you guys later. Peace. I think I can end this.